All disappointment in life stems from unmet expectations. Brené Brown said disappointment is unmet expectation, and the more significant your expectation, the more significant is the disappointment. And if that is true, Sean Payton truly is setting us up with massive, massive expectations for this team, because while there are teams across the NFL who are being fined for practicing too much because they're grabbing and they're desperate and they're worried about what's happening, Sean Payton has been so pleased with how Denver Broncos OTAs went that he canceled tomorrow's scheduled OTA. We are hearing great news all from Denver Broncos offseason mandatory training camp. Cannot wait to break it down all for you all right here on Sports Talk Denver. If you're new to this channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan with massive expectations for this team. And if you also have massive expectations for these Denver Broncos, helps me out a lot if you hit that like and subscribe button. So let's dive in to the massive news of the day. And so that is looking here, just like I referenced here, the Detroit Lions are being penalized because they practiced when they weren't supposed to be. Well, tomorrow, when we were supposed to practice, we were supposed to have a mandatory camp. We have dudes flying in from all over the place to come to this 3-day mandatory camp. Sean Payton was so happy with what he saw that he gave the team a day off tomorrow. Not scheduled from the beginning, but he said he was extremely happy with what he's seen. And they have like accelerometers and pedometers on all the dudes. And because of how like fast they were running and the distance they traveled, he's like, hey, we're canceling it. And he said it felt different this year in a good way. I'm just telling you, there is a noticeable difference in Sean Payton this year and Sean Payton last year, from the length of his press conferences to how laid back he is, to the fact that even during training camp, media is allowed to be down on the field watching stuff. He's not trying to hide anything. He's not trying to, cook a meal with horrible groceries. He bought the groceries. He's thrilled with the groceries he has. And why wouldn't he be? We're just hearing fantastic stuff about just really how amazing the draft played out for us back in April. And just seeing that all of the guys that he was able to pick, he had way, way higher grades on. And we got to trust that there is no one in the NFL who does more digging and more work in the draft process than Sean Payton and George Payton. We know George Payton is a knockout drafter. We look at picking up Quinn Miners later in the draft, and now he's like an all-pro guard, getting Cooper, who had to get more money because he was one of the better players in that draft class. We're looking at, obviously, Baron Brown. Like, we're time and time again, banger after banger, and looking here, he had Jonah Ellis as a second round draft pick. We got him in the third. Troy Franklin also as a second. When at the start of last year, he was a first round on a lot of boards. Got him in the fourth. Third round grades on Abrams-Draine, Audric Estime, got them both in the fifth. And he said, hey, that doesn't usually happen. This draft was really weird. We know that Sean Payton was at the forefront of using advanced analytics and AI, and I'm just could not be more excited about what's happening. And Sean Payton has every opportunity to really lower our expectations in Denver, and he's not doing that whatsoever. Last year, he did lower our expectations, and even by lowering them, he exceeded what we expected, right? Like, he took a 5-win Denver Broncos team to 8 wins when he couldn't even run the offense that he wanted to run. Now he has the players and the talent and hopefully the injury luck to do so. So I think one of our deepest position groups is definitely the running back position group. And we broke that down just the other day about how, Sean Payton loves to use multiple types of running backs and really have like a speed dude and a bruiser dude. You remember Alvin Kamara was paired with Mark Ingram. You had Reggie Bush and Deuce McAllister. Going, even back, like he had Chris Ivory and then also had Pierre Thomas. And so that change of pace back where you have a dude who can get to the edge with insane amounts of speed and then a guy who can just blast you up the middle that you cannot stop. And so I think we are totally set up to have those change of backs in the Denver Broncos backfield with Javonte, with Samaje Perine, with Audric Estime, and then obviously with the guy who is the first person in the locker room who's finishing up his workout before people even get there for breakfast, in Jaleel McLaughlin. And when I watch him run, I really see a Jahmyr Gibbs type, and we know Dan Campbell, Sean Payton, part of the same coaching tree. That's what they want. They want to kind of model that, and why couldn't that be Jaleel? If Jaleel is learning how to pass block, watch out. And so you're seeing out there, a lot of people make crazy predictions that not only like does Jaleel make this team, do not be surprised if you see Jaleel McLaughlin as the starting running back. Now, I will couch all of that in saying that, we have not put pads on yet in any of these Broncos practices, and that early on, fast guys, when you can't bring somebody to the ground and can't actually hit, they really show out. And so you could see that gap maybe close a little bit once we put pads on, but let's keep an eye out on that running back position room, and we'll see what happens. But either way, like, I'm extremely excited to see what is Javonte going to do on a contract year, 2 years after that horrible injury. Will he bounce back and try to ball out and get that money? That's going to be very, very interesting to see. Another positional room that we definitely want to keep our eyes on is the cornerback position room. We know that we have, with no bias, we have the best cornerback in the league. His peers say it about him. Coaches in the league say about him. That's Pat Surtain. And then we saw Jaquan McMillian just ball out of control and really step up. And you're hearing people say like, hey, we're not talking high enough about this undrafted guy. We saw him really meet everything and exceed everything we hoped for him last year. It's going to be crazy interesting to see what he does this year. So that was Ryan Edwards, who I totally follow and trust, and also Zach Stevens saying that, man, he had incredible plays this year where he's running stride for stride with a receiver, knocking it down 30 yards down the field, catching up with it, and then even hearing today that he had Bo Dix hit Brandon Johnson in the end zone, and McMillian was there in great coverage and broke it up. So keeping an eye on that, and really, is Riley Moss going to step into that? Is Kris Abrams-Draine, who, we had ranked as a third-round pick, and we got him in the 5th, is he going to step into that third spot? But, man, we now have a platoon of outside rushers that people are stoked about. We got so much depth now on the rest of our defensive line and our safety room. Obviously, there's some question marks with Justin Simmons leaving, but we're feeling good about Brandon Jones, feeling great about PJ Locke, JL Skinner stepping up. So I really think our biggest, really 70 points against the Miami Dolphins, that is a huge area of concern. And I think our defense is actually looking like it's going to surprise some people, along with our boy, Bo Nix, who we all believe, and just seeing his ability to move on the run. I think that like he can throw on the run just as well as Russell Wilson, but he can throw in the pocket so much better. He led the NCAA in pass completion percentage. Drew Brees led the NFL in pass completion percentage, and we see that the concerns about arm strength greatly overblown, and he just looked fantastic. And hearing that Joe Lombardi is saying that this is one of the deepest quarterback rooms he's ever been around, which is pretty nuts because he also was in a quarterback room with Justin Herbert when he was with the Chargers. And I just think he's talking about, hey, there's no way that Bo Nix looks like a rookie, and he looks mature. He's making fantastic decisions, and that's something we should all be extremely, extremely hyped on. Really, the vibes around Denver could not be even any better. Sean Payton has set tremendous expectations for this team when he really has every chance to downplay it, because he knows that the disappointment in Denver, when he sets expectations high, if we don't meet that, we're all going to want to run him out of town and draft another quarterback next year. And so he really could start to hedge like we see them doing in Chicago, like we see him doing in Minnesota, saying that J.J. McCarthy is not going to start the season. They are setting expectations very low there because they don't have the same hope that Sean Payton does, and that should fill us all with a tremendous amount of hope. So very exciting news. It's a bummer that we won't have more awesome stuff to look at tomorrow from training camp, but there's so much that I didn't get a chance to break down that we will be doing that all week here. So real quick, closing out here, one of the best parts about doing this channel has just been the comments and the chats and, people picking up on things like my gruesome hand injury and all of that. So I wanted to just quickly share a quick life update here and ask for positive thoughts and prayers and good vibes out to one of the biggest Broncos fans I know, and one of my biggest cheerleaders in life, which is my baby sister, Hannah. And right when I started this channel, part of it was because I missed talking Broncos, and part of it was I needed a distraction and something productive to do every night when my kids go to bed. About 6 months ago, my sister was diagnosed with cancer, and she's got a big surgery tomorrow. She just finished chemo, and she's been extremely tough, and that's why I wear this bracelet that says Hannah Strong and stand firm on it. And I'm just so proud of the toughness and resilience she has had. So Hannah Strong. If the Denver Broncos could be half as tough as my baby sister Hannah, we'd win a lot of Super Bowls. So thank you for everything, Broncos country. Believe.